It's the final countdown. It's the last week of the regular season, you know. Okay, never mind.
Welcome back to the James and Dame Show. I'm Josiah.
And I'm Will.
And we're going to go over the final regular season week 18, and do pick'ems.
Just
Predictions. Fun times. This will be the last time we'll be able to do that in the regular season. So this will be an interesting predicament. And currently right now in said pick'em leagues, I personally am only 7 games behind Genuine Cats, and it looks like Genuine Cats might actually pull away with the victory. I can at least say I was 7 games behind.
And I will say
I can make it closer, but
this is the week where things could be funky because there's a lot of teams who are going to be playing backups or not
This is
trying as
true.
hard. So there's a lot of
Yeah,
games
also
that don't
true.
mean anything. And I think that leaves a lot of room for upsets. And if you can get them right, you might be able to. Yeah. Once again, what was the best score or the best record last week was Amber again with 140.
something like that.
Or, yeah, 140. It's been going crazy. But yeah,
Yeah,
this
because it's was it
16
10 points a game or whatever it is.
10 points a game and 16 games, so she went 14-2. So
I went 13-3.
yeah, I did not do as good, but you know, it is what
I
it
know.
is.
I know.
But we
It's
will get
okay.
into these pick'ems where we will see some teams for the last time this year. Actually, most teams for the last time this year.
Most teams for the last time this year.
Yeah,
Well deserved.
We will get into these as a lot of there's playoff implications behind all of them, so we'll touch on each of them. Some don't mean anything, but the ones that do, we'll touch on them a little bit.
Yeah.
But we'll start with the 2 Saturday games, starting with the afternoon game, with the Browns visiting the Ravens. Ravens coming off of yet another dominant Christmas game. Browns
You see
coming
the
off.
betting line on this one?
I feel like every week it gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Like, I
Currently
don't-
it's at a negative 2,000 for the Ravens to win this one.
Yeah. So Ravens,
That's crazy.
heavy favorites. Ravens playing for a lot. Browns playing for very little. And
They can play spoiler, but it's pretty hard to do that.
actually, you know what? I'd take that back. Browns are playing for something. The first overall pick.
That's true. So they want to lose this game is what they should be doing.
Yeah. Again,
Should be.
it's a Ravens game, so I'm picking the Ravens. But also,
Yeah.
the Browns are even worse than the last time, as DTR has
That's true.
not sparked a lot of confidence with that offense.
I think you know what your pick is, and I think I know what my pick is.
Is
So
it both the Ravens?
yeah, I mean I would assume so, right?
Yeah, mine is the Ravens. And again, the thing
I
the
would hope
Ravens
so.
are actually playing for here, because they actually have real stuff they're playing
Yeah.
for, is a win here gives them the AFC North, which is
Yep.
actually they're actually playing for something, which is another reason why I think there's no way the Browns win this. If they were playing for nothing, maybe not, but a loss here could potentially drop them out. Actually, I do have to look at the. No, yeah, if a loss
had
here plus a
dropped
Steelers
to-
win would give the Steelers the division,
You would
and
get,
so
Steelers division, and I think you would either drop to the 5th or the 6th seed, depending on positions from like Chargers and stuff. So,
yeah, depending on how those go.
depending on
but
how everything else goes. No.
As far as the
So
Ravens go, though, they can clinch a division with a win, and because of how crucial that actually is, I think they actually try. They play their
they will
starters at least enough, and I think they'll pull out a pretty easy win.
win.
So,
I agree.
and then we'll
W's in the chat.
move along to
Uh,
the Saturday night game, the other AFC North
so
matchup.
AFC North matchups. So we got Cincinnati visiting Pittsburgh.
This one,
Like I said before, end of season collapse usually happens for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Happened last year, 2 years ago, and the year before that, and everything else. Sure, they weren't collapses, but their goal is to get to over 500 or more, and then not care about for the rest of the year, and then get bounced first round. It's usually been like that. It's same old Steelers. So I imagine, and Cincinnati is actually playing for something here too. So this is not something that they're gonna kind of bow out of right away. So I'm gonna stick with Cincinnati because I think they're gonna pull an upset here.
this one is interesting, and a large part of it, again, Cincy is on a 4-game win streak. They're playing for the playoffs. They need some help still, but they do need to win this in order to make the playoffs. And the way the Steelers have played, it doesn't look good. But I also do have to point out, this game might actually... It might differ based off of the Ravens game, because a Ravens loss, the Steelers are going to try a lot harder. But the Steelers still want to win because they want to get back into a winning mentality, and it also could affect their seeding. But if the Ravens win, you might not see 4 quarters of Russell Wilson. You might not see T.J. Watt all the time, and so that really will determine it. Last time these two played, though, was a shootout, which is not really what we are familiar with out of the Steelers. But again, much heavier implication for the Bengals. They have a lot more to play for, and the question is, does their season end here, or do they have to wait and see if it'll end against the Broncos and Dolphins? Because if the Dolphins win, it doesn't matter what happens with the Broncos. So I do think I'm gonna go with the Bengals here. I don't have a good feeling about it because I feel like they've come so far, and I have the fear that they're gonna come up short, and because it's coming down to this final week, it's gonna come somewhere, and winning here, if they come up short after winning here, it is going to be depressing. It is gonna be so sad if they come all this way and lose and miss it by that much. So,
yep, we got Carolina visiting Atlanta.
Part of me thinks something funny is gonna happen. The Falcons.
And
The Falcons are playing for a lot. They have Michael Penix in now. That came off of a close loss to the Commanders, who are a playoff team. But Falcons fighting for that NFC South. Again, they're going to need some help from the Saints if they can beat the Buccaneers. Falcons need a win here, and they are in. But unfortunately, I believe they are actually playing... Actually, they play at the same time.
Yep, they do.
So this is really interesting.
Yeah.
But
I am a firm believer that Atlanta will win this one. However, I guess we could jump to it too, the Tampa Bay New Orleans game, since they're the same division. I think both Atlanta and Tampa Bay will win.
So you think Buccaneers will just clinch because they win?
Clinch because they win, and then Atlanta would do it for nothing.
Yeah, okay. I do think the Buccaneers are gonna win. I will say that much. But part of me really thinks that something funny is going to happen, and the Panthers are gonna ruin the Falcons' year, and not even give them a chance. Like the Panthers beat the Falcons before the Buccaneers game even goes final, and it would just be so funny.
Be hilarious.
But I think because the Falcons are actually trying, even though the Panthers did it the same thing to the Cardinals, I think the Falcons actually trying will win this game. This one I can see being an upset though.
I can see that.
This one I don't think it should be as lopsided as the percentage of picks is, but the betting lines I think is fair because it is.
Yeah, the betting lines make sense.
It's in favor of the Falcons, but I think there's a long shot the Panthers win this one.
Yeah, there's a.
So I'm gonna stick with Falcons and Buccaneers, but yeah. Now if they both lose, that'd just be hilarious.
That'd be funny. Let's see here. And then we got Commanders at Dallas. Commanders will probably be resting their players, I would assume.
Well, here's the thing. They play at the same time as the Bears and the Packers. And if the Commanders win, they lock up the 6th seed. Or if the Packers lose, they lock up the 6th seed. The Commanders win via tiebreaker, but they still need a better record to end in 6th, and I don't think the Commanders really want to play the Eagles. I mean, maybe, but if I were them, I would much rather have either the Bucks, Falcons, or Rams. So,
Fair.
I think the Commanders still try and play it, plus I think even if it is the backups, I still think Marcus Mariota has a very good chance to beat Cooper Rush. So I'm still going to go with the Commanders. Is pretty good. Regardless of who's there.
Yeah,
I'm going Commanders.
Yeah, I'm going with I'll go with Commanders as well. I just think if they do the starters, I do think Dallas will still lose. Mariota is still really good. Like, that's...
Career ruined.
As a backup.
Ruined. So tragic.
Yeah.
Could have been so good.
Rip.
But
Rip Mariota. But yeah, I do think Washington will win this one. If Dallas ends up winning this one, though, so much for Ashton Genty.
They don't even. Again, we'll get to it when it comes draft season, but I don't even think the Cowboys
do you think they
have a chance unless they
Jerry
trade.
Jones will actually draft him?
I think
that's true.
Unless they trade up for him, I don't think he's going to be there. With how middle of the pack they are, but yeah, I mean,
we'll see.
Speaking of Packers and Bears,
funny.
Again, Bears have the opportunity to do the funniest thing and win this game because, and the only reason why this is funny is it doesn't just force the Packers into a 7 seed, but it also would mean the Packers end with the same division record as the Bears, and that would be hilarious. I think that would be very funny, and I'm going to stick with the Packers because I think they play their starters, and I think they still destroy the Bears, but Bears are just not a good team right now. They're so bad.
That's why I'm like, okay.
But if the Bears win,
I'm picking Green Bay, only because it's the logical thing to do. Texans and Titans. Texans, if you do not win this game, you can kiss the Super Bowl or any hope of getting to the championship or divisional game goodbye. Because if you lose to Tennessee...
But, what are they playing for, really?
True. They have the division.
They have the division.
I guess
they're stuck in the 4 seed.
My point is that if they end up starting their starters and they don't play well, then I have concerns.
I don't think there's
Titans.
I don't think there's any way they start their starters not with the fact that they know that winning or losing, nothing changes. All right, it's at most a morale thing, but I think with especially how that O-line is playing, sitting C.J. Stroud is going to be crucial because you want him to be healthy. Now the question is can the backups of the Texans beat the Tennessee Titans, because they're on the same level. But
yeah, they kind of are. I do think that betting lines have the Titans winning this game.
Due to them
And for good
probably
reason.
having starters playing.
Yeah, and I'm going to pick the Titans because I think it would be utterly hilarious if they messed up their tank. Because I like chaos.
We do love some chaos. I don't.
I gotta pick some. I gotta pick some upsets this week. So
There will be some upsets. It's just like which teams are playing their backups and which backups will actually be able to win games. And
Exactly.
I still do think that the backups of the Texans so it's going to come down to the backup defense of the Texans, because that is what makes or breaks the Titans games, is how bad their offense does. And if their offense can do somewhat well, I think they can easily win. I think they can easily win this game. Playing against like Davis Mills, I think, is who would play instead of CJ Stroud. But it's going to be, can they get out of their own way, not shoot themselves in the foot so much, not turn over the ball, and just play offense, consistent, just solid offense. Doesn't even need to be good. Just don't make so many mistakes or play super ugly,
That's not happening.
and you can win. But you did just lose to the Jaguars, so I'm
Yeah.
going with the Texans.
All right,
plain and
I'll
simple.
pick upset and stick with Titans, but we'll see how that goes. Speaking of AFC South, Jacksonville, Indianapolis. Who do you think?
This is actually going to be my upset. I'm going to go with the Jaguars because Jaguars aren't really playing for much. Again, they don't even really, like, they're probably not.
Draft position?
It's draft position, but they don't even need it as much as, like, other teams do. Like, they're playing for Doug Peterson, probably trying to get wins to try and keep his job. I think he's long gone. I think he's going to be long gone. But I think he tries to win. They don't like desperately need a quarterback, so no reason to really tank there. You still have Mac Jones out there. Colts not really playing for much. Anthony Richardson shouldn't play, and I don't think he will. It's going to be just stop Jonathan Taylor, which they've struggled with. But
That's
I think
true.
they can do it, especially with how the Colts played last week. Brian Thomas, I think, could go out and have 170 yards against this defense that has not been good the last 2 weeks. And now you're literally playing for nothing. So I'm going Jaguars.
This is not an upset. I'll be sticking with Indianapolis.
Interesting. So we flip-flop on the AFC South.
Yep.
Interesting.
Um,
I think I know how this one's gonna go. We have the Bills visiting the Patriots.
Yep.
I did see an interesting tidbit from regarding Josh Allen in this game, in that he is technically going to start this game, even though the Bills are not playing for much at all. They're gonna be sitting starters because they're locked in at the 2. Patriots again playing for draft position. But
okay.
the thing with Josh Allen playing is that he's starting, but I
He's
think
not.
only to keep his starting streak going. So it's to keep his start streak going. I think he might play at most like a drive, maybe the first quarter. He's not playing the whole game. At most, like at the very most, he'll play one play, or at the very least, he'll play a play. At the most, like a quarter, but he's not playing the whole game. And then you're gonna have the backup is actually gonna be Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think Allen's there anymore. It's just Trubisky.
It is just Trubisky. So we will see Trubisky play against the Patriots. Well, you'll see a lot of backups. Bills, I still think, could make this very interesting, but I do think the Patriots come in with Drake May. They have promise. I called it a few weeks ago that I think they're going to lose one of the last 3 divisional games, and I think that this is the most likely. If the Chiefs clinch the 1 seed, they're stuck in the 2 seed. They're not playing for much. They're going to bench their starters. I think this is the one they probably lose. And we're in that scenario. I got to stick with my guns. Like, can't go back on it now.
Yeah. I am going to as well. So I'm going to stick with the Patriots for this one, only because Allen's not playing for most of the game and other scenarios. So you don't need to dwell too much on that one, but it happens. Divisional games are a thing. So, speaking of another divisional game, it's like all of these are divisional games. We have
Crazy.
the Giants. Crazy, yeah. Giants visiting the Eagles.
So this one's interesting. I know I say that about a lot
Even-
of games.
Even with their backups, the Eagles, they will wipe the floor with the Giants. They will crush them. You saw what they did to the Cowboys. I am a firm believer that the Eagles will demolish the Giants, even though they have their backups in. They're just getting reps at this point.
Even with Tanner McKee, I think they win this game.
Yeah,
Because-
like that's how good the Eagles are this year.
Now, again, there's things to point out. Like, they were only missing really Jalen last week. They're going to be missing a lot more. I don't think. Well,
That's not
actually,
gonna change too
it
much.
depends because
Because
Say-
Barkley needs to break the rushing record.
he is 100 yards short. It will determine or will depend on if they try and actually get him there. Because
They will probably do that.
I know the Eagles. Honestly, it comes down to Saquon. It's going to come down to Saquon,
Yeah.
but I'm sure with Sirianni, I feel like just wants to win. Like regardless, he's like, I
He
want to
doesn't
keep, I want to keep the winning
He's
going.
been undefeated since he got bald. Actually, no,
Well,
that's a lie.
he lost one
He got a
game.
loss to the Commanders, but
But-
other than that, he's almost undefeated ever since he went bald.
Knowing the Eagles, they're most likely they're going to go to Saquon and go, if you want to go for the record, we will put you in and try and get you there. The question is, we've seen Saquon do this before where he just goes, no, let the young guys play. Record would be cool.
That's true. Uh,
I don't need it.
Yeah, he
And
did
that's-
that at the Giants.
So I think oh yeah, he did.
No.
He might do it again here where he just lets the young
might
guys
do it.
play. So
Or he might be petty. We'll see.
I think it comes honestly down to Saquon if he wants to.
It kind of does.
But
So.
yeah, looking even if you take out Saquon and AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, a bunch of the defensive guys, I still think that team is better coached and more talented than what the Giants have right now. And because Sirianni, even with backups, he's still going to try and win that game. Like,
Yeah,
I still think it's going to be Eagles.
yeah. There's not much to debate there, but oh, here's something we can debate on. Kansas City visiting the Denver Broncos.
You know what makes this really interesting?
What?
Is currently the people are back and forth between Chiefs and Broncos. Currently, with what's going on ESPN and other sports news, is that the Chiefs are being very hush-hush on whether they are sitting their starters. And everyone expects them to, and I would still expect them to. I'd be very shocked if they didn't. But the Chiefs control who makes the playoffs. Mostly.
So they either let their division rivals, the Broncos, in, they do that, or they let their newfound conference rivals, the Bengals, into the playoffs. Which one's worse? And who's actually going to do something to you when they get to that point?
Well, the other thing that's interesting, because there's still the Dolphins in the mix, and the Bengals game will have been played. So if the Bengals win and the Chiefs are more concerned about the Bengals, they might sit their starters. But if the Bengals lose, they might try and knock out the Broncos to get the Dolphins, because I think they would
Dolphins,
prefer the Dolphins.
The
And
Dolphins are the weakest of the three of them.
Yeah, especially in this situation, the Chiefs of the three, they basically can control it. Assuming again the Dolphins actually win, because if the Dolphins lose, it goes to the Broncos anyways. So it's
Yeah.
But for the most part, the Chiefs control their own destiny here, And so it's just, I think it's really funny that depending on how that Bengals game goes, they could just be like, I don't want you in.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
that too.
So
It just makes it difficult, but I kind of have to go with just the Chiefs only because it's the same thing with the Steelers. The Broncos have just been terrible at trying to finish a season and trying to win in the last stretch of the season. They have lost the last few games. They should have clinched a playoff berth in like the last 3 weeks, and yet here we are, and yet they have not.
true.
So
I
it would be hilarious if all 3 of them lost and the Broncos just ended up getting a playoff berth because of
because
everyone else's incompetence.
that would
Because that would be funny. That'd be hilarious. However, I
you
don't
did
think
pick
that will
the
happen.
Bengals to win, so
I picked the Bengals to win. So the thing is that I do think the Chiefs will still win. I'm like on the edge. I'm like 50-50 right now, but I'm leaning towards KC right now. That's where I'm kind of pointing my decision to. And also the Bengals being in the playoffs would be more entertaining too. Just saying.
I get their exciting offense, but the way their defense has been better, but
Slightly.
I don't know.
You think the Broncos are going to do anything in the playoffs?
Potentially. I mean, you still have Sean Payton. They still got. Obviously,
Yeah.
they have concerns, but Bo Nix
It's not
is.
looking good.
He's one of the. There's a lot of really good rookie quarterbacks, but he's one of the more competent ones who can actually manage a game. He's up there with Jaden Daniels. There's again still concerns with the Broncos, but I think that them with the Chargers either could make a run, and I think one of them will. I believe one of them will make it out of that first round.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And
One of them will.
It could go either way, and I think the Broncos being in there, I think, are very much in the mix for that, being that team. But looking at this game, one, I feel the Broncos haven't made a playoff game in 8 years, and I know that like it's seeming like the trend is gonna continue, and they're gonna blow it. But I think I mentioned it before, and I think it's going to come to fruition. I think the Chiefs rest their starters, and I think the Broncos can do enough to win and make the playoffs, and tragically end the Bengals and Dolphins, because Dolphins also went on a good run, but the Bengals and Dolphins season in tragic fashion. And I think the Chiefs will drop to 15-2, and Broncos squeak into the playoffs. So I think that's I'm sticking with the Broncos. Again, it's gonna largely depend on really what the Chiefs. They have so much say as to what happens, and I do think that they're just. I'm going with it, but it's gonna depend on what the Chiefs want to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. About to wrap up the last few games. Chargers at Las Vegas. I mean, probably same situation, even though if they rest their starters, I don't think the Raiders are beating them. Especially that defense. They have a pretty good in-depth defense, so. Let me guess, you're picking Las Vegas.
You want to know what you said in that last video?
What?
You said that the team that is going to blow their tank the hardest was the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah,
On
I
a
don't know. It's just
two-game
I've
win
been
streak.
I've been like 50-50 on them though. I want them to mess it up because they are the middle of the road right now. But also like I don't know. I want to stick with the Chargers, but it'd be funny if they messed it up.
Chargers are either playing Taylor Heineke or Easton Stick. I expect them to rest their starters, although they could try and play for the 5 seed. And if they do, I think they destroy the Raiders. But if they do sit their starters, I think the Raiders actually. Either way, I think the Raiders managed to pull this one out. Again, they're on a win streak. It isn't pretty, but I don't expect the Chargers to play super pretty here. And I think, again, the Raiders are going to ruin their tank, and I think they're going to end off on a 3-game win streak. And it's just going to be so funny.
Yeah.
Aiden O'Connell's back there, and he's playing efficient-ish. So
Efficient-ish.
mistake-free
Very
mostly.
interesting. I will change mine to the Raiders only because it would be hilarious to see the Raiders mess up their tank and Chargers just chilling. Like, they don't really got to do much. And the other thing is that, like, this is all on a preface of if they rest their starters. This is, like, for a lot of these teams.
Yeah.
So it's like, if they do, then what is this? And so I'm going to assume that they do rest their starters. And then we'll see.
I still think the Raiders could pull it off, even if they do, if the Chargers don't, just because the Raiders they're gonna
Chargers
botch
don't
it.
really have much to play for, probably.
And
And they have teams
seeding.
to face, but they don't care that much. Also, they're horrible again.
Yeah, honestly, if you're
Depending
the
on seeding.
Chargers, if you are the Chargers and you do see the Steelers lose, I think you want to take every chance you can to earn that 5 seed, because you would much rather play, I feel like, the Texans than
You
the
want to play
Ravens.
the Texans than the
So-
Ravens. It's just depending on how things go. Because not
Yeah.
everything goes your way. That's the thing.
True.
So, we'll see here. Seattle and the Rams. I'm going to give them their petty win. Seattle, you'll win this game only because the Rams have clinched this game, or clinched the division, and you'll get to the same record as the Rams, but you won't be in the playoffs, and you won't win the division. So
There's always
Rams are
history.
probably-
There's always history behind the NFC West game. Because again, this doesn't matter for the Seahawks. Rams, it's seeding. It is. Do you place higher than the NFC South winner or not? Although they might actually be locked above. I don't know exactly.
it
But
depends on how it works. Because if the Rams lose and the Buccaneers win, for example, if I believe that's correct, Buccaneers might be above the Rams. I'm not sure yet. We'll see.
I'll get into
I'm
it
not
at the
entirely
end,
sure.
'cause
We'll get to that point once we get to playoffs and everything. It's one of those things where we have to actually like see what actually happened and look at stuff. I guess.
Well, so if the Rams lose and the Buccaneers win, the Buccaneers would actually have the 3 seed
Well, they would have the 3 seed. Okay, so
because
they do.
of conference play. So Rams technically
right.
trying to defend their 3 spot, but I also don't think they care.
that much.
I say that
They do. They do though. That's the thing.
the difference
I still
between
think Seattle
3 and 4.
Seattle could still play spoiler.
3 and 4 does not matter usually that much, but the difference is the 4 seed has to play either the Vikings or the Lions. You're playing a 14-win team. You do not want that 4 seed. It is not
No,
going
you
to
do
be a good time.
No.
So they're playing for
So you-
something. I think they might play some of their starters. I don't think they're going to go all out on their starters necessarily. Seahawks playing for a lot. I think the Seahawks actually might edge this one out just on the preface that obviously, again, they're going to be playing all their starters, but the Rams, like I said, have not been playing complete football. And the
That's
Seahawks offense has not been good.
No. And I do think that the Seahawks can just play spoiler in general. So
I think they might be able to. But
Yeah.
we'll move along to the Dolphins visiting the Jets.
Jets like to win in the last leg of the season. This might be one of their last wins, or their last win, just because they hate the Dolphins and the Jets. I don't know if you've seen history. I know you probably do, but the Jets like to win random games towards the end of the year
When they don't matter.
when they don't matter. 7 and
Not to
10
them, at least.
seasons. Yeah. There's been a bunch of 7 and 10 seasons that's been like that. There's been a bunch of like 6 and 10 seasons. There's been a bunch of like 5 and 11 seasons that they've done that. So they do that a lot.
They do.
So,
You know, it's
I am.
an interesting. I'm assuming, yeah, because you said you're going with Jets. I'm also going with Jets, and you want to know why?
Why?
Do you know what the weather looks like? You know what the weather's looking like for this matchup?
No, I did not see. If it's anything resolving anything lower than 40 degrees, Dolphins
It's-
are not winning.
It's looking to be a nice, partly sunny 33-degree weather day in New Jersey. So,
Well, if I know my weather statistics for the Dolphins,
I'm going to
Yeah,
say
I don't think the
Jets
Dolphins are
with
winning.
this one.
only because it's cold. Yep.
God, it might really
That's it.
happen. It might really happen that the Broncos lose and
It's
still
probably
get
gonna
in.
happen.
That'd be so funny.
It's probably going to happen.
Um,
Well, we'll see.
we'll move along though.
This is not Sunday night.
This is not Sunday night. This is the last of the afternoon
Thank
games,
goodness.
and
Thank goodness.
this game really doesn't mean much. 49ers coming off of a close-ish loss to the Lions this last week.
Lions.
Again, neither team playing for playoffs.
Cardinals are not doing much either.
They just
I
came
do think
off
that
a close loss to the
I
Rams.
do think the Niners are just gonna win because of how well they've been playing, and in the sense of that keeping up with big teams. And sure, they've been losing, but they've been doing okay. They're not that bad. They're injured, but they're not that bad. So I do think San Francisco is gonna beat Arizona. So
I too have San Francisco winning this one, which is interesting because Cardinals won in San Fran last time.
yeah,
but
and then,
I
now they're gonna
like you
pull
said,
it
I
in a
think
reverse.
the 49ers are playing a little bit better, and I don't think the
Mhm.
Cardinals care that much. Like,
No, they don't care that much. I don't think any of those teams care.
I think the 49ers are playing for a lot of pride right now. And again, Shanahan might be playing for his job.
He might be playing for his job. People don't like to admit that, but he might be playing for his job.
It just is the way it is. But again, that game doesn't really have any implications on playoff. It's just slightly like draft position. But this one, oh,
This one does.
if seeding wasn't the way it was, this would be a 1 seed versus the 2 seed. But
Yeah.
we got the Minnesota Vikings visiting the Detroit Lions. 2 14-2 teams battling for the 1 seed in the last week of the regular season. It is such a storybook end to the regular season. It is perfect.
Okay.
When have we gotten such a good end to a season, to a regular
Never.
season? I don't think we've ever had such a good
Never.
matchup, and I'm hoping the game lives up to it. I'm gonna be so disappointed if it doesn't.
Yeah, I will be very furious if that ends up not being the case. But I'm curious to hear yours first because you seem very excited about your pick.
I'm just excited for this game. So happy. Yeah, again, 2 14-2 teams battling for the 1 seed. Loser gets the 5 seed, which, I mean, again, you're still gonna have a probably an
Soft.
easier matchup than what the 2 seed will have. 1 seed obviously
Yeah.
gets a bye, and gets home field advantage all the way through. But again, 5 seed, you're settling for a lot less, and winning the division, which is a very prideful, like a very proudful thing especially in a division like this. There's a lot on the line. 80% of people going with the Lions, but they're only minus 150 as a favorite.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting. but I do have the Vikings at number 1 for a reason, and I think the Vikings are going to win this one and clinch the 1. And
Okay.
I think if the Lions were healthy going into this game, or at least their defense had been holding together the way it had a few weeks ago, I think they should have been the favorites. But I think the injuries are going to get to them. This game was close the last time they played. It came down to the wire.
Okay.
And I still think it will come down to the wire, but I think the Vikings will edge
Yeah.
it out because they're healthier and because of the way how much they've been winning and how well they've been playing. I think the Vikings will eke this one out and clinch the 1 seed.
So, I've said it multiple times throughout the season. Something that I would like to see is Detroit making it to the Super Bowl. I do think that while they are injured on defense and they are, a little depleted, if they can get this 1 seed, they only have to play one more game until Aiden Hutchinson possibly comes back. If you can play one less game and try to hang in there a little bit longer, you might have a chance to get the Super Bowl. And I think that's what the Lions are thinking right now. If they can get a bye, they can rest their starters, like everyone else, and just, calm down, just let them rest. I think it's very possible. I think the Lions are going to barely squeak out in this game, probably similar to the last time the Vikings and Lions played. I would pick the Vikings, except Detroit also has a lot to play for, and this is in Detroit. And Detroit has not lost a ton of games either, so the only one that they've lost at home was to the Buccaneers.
And
So
the Bills.
and the
Both their
Bills.
losses came at
Yeah.
home.
Both of their losses came from the Bills and the Buccaneers. So, while not a pretty home record, they will defend their home. So, I do think the Lions will barely win this game, probably by like a field goal or something like that. So, that's my pick.
All right, and that is all of them. And I do want to actually work out the numbers on this one. So the way I have things shaking out, I have, if it goes the way I predict it, Chiefs 1, Buffalo 2, Baltimore 3, Houston 4. Houston would play Pittsburgh, Baltimore would play Los Angeles Chargers, and the Bills would play the Broncos. And then in the NFC, it would be Minnesota at 1, Eagles 2 playing the Packers at 7, Tampa Bay playing Washington at 6, and the Rams playing Detroit at 5, which would be interesting because that would not only harken back to last year, but also the beginning of this year. That'd be a fun matchup. But
They like to do full circles, apparently.
the way you have this, based off of Josiah's picks, he has Chiefs at 1, Buffalo at 2, obviously, but they'd be playing Cincinnati at 7. And then you also would still have Baltimore playing Los Angeles at 6, and then Houston playing Pittsburgh at 5. While the NFC, you have Detroit at 1 with a bye, and then you'd have Philly playing Green Bay, Tampa Bay, Washington, and Rams, Vikings. So
Ooh, those are good games. Those could be good games.
I think it could be good games either way, but
Yeah, I was about to say, all those sound pretty fun. Obviously, some teams don't want to play other teams, but you know how it works.
not so exciting for the Rams. But
No, the Rams are just kind of screwed. Whatever
they need a win.
they
to
do
avoid it,
win,
but
so
it's
we
interesting.
shall see.
It'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to this week. It's the last week of the regular season.
Oh, season. Let's go.
Playoffs are almost here.
I don't know about you, but I'm excited for whatever this next 2 months will bring. So
Absolutely. But I'm also, I'll stay narrow-sided. Like, I'm just excited for this week because, goddamn, we got some.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. Yeah.
I mean, if all else fails, Sunday night is still a very exciting game.
Mm-hmm.
Even if everything else sucks, I'm still gonna be excited for Sunday night.
It better be. I will be very disappointed if it's not. Otherwise, I'll fly to Minneapolis and Detroit. And X you all.
Chapman block
People
time.
don't deserve to, don't make me. Detroit and Minnesota. Don't make me do it.
Don't make me do it. But yes,
Don't
that
make me do
has
it.
that has whoa. That has been the week 18 preview. We're here. The end of the season.
Yes, sir.
Regular season. It's time
That's a little.
where teams make their final stand.
Yay!
I'm excited.
Make it
So ready.
entertaining. Yay!
This has
Yeah,
been
that's all I'm hoping for.
the last full preview of the regular season. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you Sunday night or next week.
We
Either
will
way.
see you Sunday night. Please be there for Sunday night. I just got back. I want to say hi to people. I missed you all. Okay, felt weird not doing that stuff.
We'll see you then.
See ya.
Bye.